Hi, I'm Dave, and welcome to Buena Vista Bonsai. Things are a little bit different this week from what I was expecting to do. Originally, I said I would kind of do a question and answer from home. Well, yeah, here I am at home, but things got a little strange last week because I realized somewhere early in the week that there was supposed to be a launch at Kennedy Space Center. And I figured that was a great thing for me to focus on, another park to examine. And to be honest, as much as I love Disney, Kennedy Space Center is really my happy place because for everything that Disney offers, a lot of it is fantasy, make believe. Kennedy Space Center is history and important national and international history. I would say it represents the pinnacle of human endeavor. And as somebody who grew up loving the space program, it's something that really hits close to my heart. So I was really happy to go there. Unfortunately, the launch, it was supposed to be a SpaceX Starlink launch, launching a new batch of GPS satellites. Unfortunately, that was scrubbed. There hasn't been a relaunch date, a date rescheduled, so we don't know when it's going to happen. Hopefully, when it does, maybe I'll be able to present another video about that. But since I was at KSC anyway, the Space Center is an interesting place, and especially right now, just like everything else with COVID, it is not the same attraction as it usually is. There is not a building there that isn't affected in some way. How they shortened some exhibits. You don't have any of the multimedia exhibits. The IMAX theaters closed down, for instance. So it's an interesting time to compare it right now, and then hopefully, maybe in a few months, I can go back there when it's open and give you a broader idea, and hopefully, maybe that will coincide with the launch as well. The last time I was there, actually, it was in the same state, but it was also the day of the Launch America launch, the day SpaceX and NASA had their sent humans from U.S. soil back into space for the first time since the space shuttle program. So that's really, yeah, I'm a space junkie, and that was incredible to see, and I'm looking forward to seeing more historic launches as time goes on. But I'm going to show you a few of the things I noticed at the Space Center. But also, since I am here and now, it gives me a chance to talk a little bit about some of the park news. And mainly this week was the week that Disney launched this reservation system for people who have plans to go to the parks, whether it's annual pass holders like myself or people who had existing resort reservations that weren't canceled. They were able to start reserving park dates because they're making it, if you have a ticket, you need both a ticket and a reservation now, which is brand new. And there's no more park hopping, which means if you have a ticket that has a park hopper option, you're able to go from park to park. Now you have to get a ticket, get a reservation, stay in that one park for the day. And so on this past Monday, the 22nd, they opened it up for anybody who had existing hotel reservations up until I think it was like the beginning of September. On the 22nd, they off and that was for people who had tickets as well. On the 22nd, they opened it up for people who had the reservations, their resort reservations, but hadn't already had their tickets bought yet. So you were able to start buying tickets and making reservations for your expected vacations. And then a few days later came the days that annual pass holders were able to start reserving tickets. And I have to admit, I tried for a little bit, but I didn't get through. I'm still hoping to go for the pass holder previews on the 9th and the 10th, one of the 2 days. But it was when you tried calling up the reservation system, it was all circuits are busy, which is pretty unusual. And I wasn't going to try all day for that. If you read online posts or you talk to when I spoke to friends who are other pass holders, they heard stories that people were waiting on the phone for 12 hours. I haven't confirmed that. I don't necessarily believe it, but it wouldn't necessarily shock me either. And I wasn't going to do that. So I'm going to just see where the chips fall and hopefully get there. And then, yeah, I'm hoping to go for a few days through the end of the year. For pass holders, you can only reserve up to 3 days in advance. So thinking I want to try and reserve my birthday and a few other dates. I have a few friends that our trip is in limbo. We're going to see if that happens or not, and that's the hope still. But anyway, let me show you around Kennedy Space Center, and I'll catch you here on the flip side. This is the main entrance to the complex here. You can see, of course, NASA. You see the Atlantis booster mock-up outside, the main entrance, and the rocket garden behind me right now. When you come in, this is pretty much always the same thing. They are doing a lot to do the social distancing already out here. I don't think they have any open ticket kiosks. You actually have to pre-reserve your entry. As a annual pass holder, I have to call up and make a reservation, so that's a little bit different here. And then when you go in, that's something that's different from Universal, for instance. There you can pretty much just walk in. We're expecting a reservation system once Disney World opens up too. Not just, definitely we're expecting it for days, but it sounds like you have to actually set a time that you can enter, and that's the same thing here. My reservation right now is for noon time, so I have to wait a few minutes before I can even go in here, but that gives me a chance to show you what's going on right here. To go inside, they have take your temperature just like they do at the other parks, and you have to social distance before you go in, and then once you go inside, same kind of things going on there as well. Welcome to the Atlantis building. Right now during COVID, this is probably the #1 attraction here at the Space Center. It is inside where they have the orbiter Atlantis, the Space Shuttle Atlantis. And outside here is a mock-up of the old booster rockets. So if you never really thought about how big those things are, well, kind of pan down here with me. Yeah, that's pretty tall. The shuttle itself is kind of amazing. I'll give you some pictures from inside. It's, as I said, this is the big attraction because the Apollo building is closed right now, so this is probably what everybody's going to be coming to see. With everything closed down, this is a place, unlike the two other parks, unlike Disney and unlike Universal, they are currently, as far as I know, offering everything at full price. They've cut everything half price here to come to the Atlantis, to come to Kennedy Space Center. And they're also offering a buy one, get one free. Get your ticket now, you can come back next year for free once everything has subsided. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce you to Atlantis. This is one of the big attractions here at the Space Center. It's the only one that you can really see right now with the Apollo building shut down. But this is one of the 4 orbiter that remains, one of the space shuttles as we used to call them. And it is a sight to behold. You can tell by the size here, and you'll see some other pictures following this that give you an idea of how large this is. We are fortunate, having been the launching site for all the space shuttle missions, to have Atlantis here. The other 3 shuttles are there. Well, there's the Enterprise up in New York at the Intrepid. There is the Endeavour at the National Air and Space Museum Annex in Washington, D.C., part of the Smithsonian Group. And then out in LA, there is the Discovery. So this is always just incredible to see. And I was talking about things that they have shut down while the COVID's going on. There's usually this great multimedia presentation that you see when you come in and you first see the Atlantis. That is closed down right now, but hopefully in the not too distant future, when this is done, they will start that. And I know a lot of people, when they see that for the first time, and the way it works out is you're seeing a video, and then all of a sudden it's right here in front of you. So hopefully one day everybody will be able to come check that out for themselves. We're now at the ground floor of the Atlantis building, so you can see the bottom of the space shuttle here. You can see as people are walking around below it. Again, gives you an idea of the size. But from here you can see, get an idea of how many different parts of this exhibit are currently closed due to the virus. As we pan over here to the left, you will see they have the deorbital slide. Essentially, is a test, gives kids and some adults the opportunity to feel supposedly what it's like to come down from during the landing sequence. Then as you come over here, you will see the Space Launch Experience, which is the one real ride that they have here at the Space Center. It's kind of like a Star Tours ride. It gives you an idea of what a launching is like. So you go all the way from takeoff to landing between those two things. The gift shop is closed over behind it as well, but one thing that is open is the Forever Remembered exhibit, touching tribute to the crews of Challenger and Columbia, the two shuttles that we lost. I am now just outside the temporary exit for the Atlantis building. It is actually the usual emergency exit. And right here is one of the two viewing spaces they had open, so had there been a launch today, this is where we would have watched it from. We're about 7 miles away from the launch site, past the line of trees behind this one big tree in the tent. You can't actually see it take off from this angle, but you can see it quickly after, and you still get the whole experience. I mean, the roar of the engines is amazing, even from this far away. And I've been driving down I-95, which is still another few miles away, and been able to hear it and watch it launch from there while driving. Okay, maybe not the safest of driving techniques, but I knew it was happening, and I just happened to time it out perfectly. If you look a little bit in the distance, just to the right of the tree in the center, you will see the top of the VAB, the Vehicle Assembly Building. That's the picture that if you've ever seen them rolling out the Apollo rockets or the space shuttle from this large building, that's where they put it together, all the pieces. It is the largest building in the world by volume, and it has 4 bays. So technically it could put together 4 space shuttles or 4 Apollo Saturn V rockets at once. So yeah, that's pretty big. The Kennedy Space Center is actually on a nature preserve, and part of that, and in general in Florida, there's obviously a lot of croplands, mainly sugar and oranges. And so every now and then they do have controlled burns, and that is what you see over here to that corner. So that is not anything to be afraid of, something fairly regular for this area. This is a section of the Kennedy Space Center that unfortunately doesn't get the attention that it deserves. It's a little bit off the beaten path. It's behind the main restaurant here at the main part of the complex, and it's off to the side of the Atlantis building, but nobody really necessarily walks down these paths to get here. This is a tribute to everybody who has died in the service of the space program. Of course, it includes the astronauts from Apollo 1, from the Challenger and the Columbia missions, but also others who died in test jets and stuff like that. So if you ever do make it down here, please do not forget to come visit that. They do have special tributes as well to the 2 shuttle crews, as I showed you in the Atlantis building. They also have a similar exhibit for Grissom, White, and Chaffee out at the Apollo complex to commemorate the crew of Apollo 1, which died on the launch pad. This is one of the cooler exhibits here. A lot of the exhibits here give me the chills, excite me because of my love of the space program in general. But while a lot of it is tributes to what we have done and historic, looking back at history that is, this is the future. This is the NASA Now exhibit, which has, you can see a bunch of the capsules. In front of me right here is Orion. You have the Starliner capsule, and in the back, the Crew Dragon capsule. The 3 main things that we are going to be using to get people into space in the upcoming future. Crew Dragon just last month had its successful first launch. The crew is still at the Space Center and will be coming back hopefully on August 2nd. So for all the things that you see here, what we've achieved, this is showing us where we're going, and it's just great to know that we still have our eyes in the skies. I'm getting ready to head out for the day, coming in through the same entrance. There really is only the one entrance to the Space Center. So you walk past the Heroes and Legends building, which is also the Astronaut Hall of Fame. As you can see in front of me, the 2 main rockets right in front of the building are the Mercury Atlas and Redstone rockets, the rockets that got us started on our trips into space. So
perfect history, perfect nod to history there. But one thing I want to pan over to here, which has struck me as interesting is for this trip, is I've been seeing a lot of areas that have been cordoned off for construction. So I don't know if the Space Center is just using this time to do repairs and to build some new things. I did see a few areas where they told you what they were building, but it's like they're using the COVID experience for an opportunity to expand things here. And that's not something that's bad around here because it is a small attraction. It's a great attraction to come to the Space Center, but to see them trying to do more things here, that's a good sign.
So that's the Kennedy Space Center. I certainly suggest if anybody is coming down to Orlando to visit the theme parks, to consider taking a day trip to go to Kennedy Space Center. Cape Canaveral is about an hour's drive east of Orlando, and you can always check the schedule to find out when there are launches happening. It is great to see one up close and personal. Whether you go to Kennedy Space Center or you find a place along the intercoastal, just pull up along the side of the road when the launch is supposed to happen. You can see it there. You can even watch the launches from Orlando. I've seen a few launches from Epcot, and you'd miss out on the roar of the rockets, but you still actually get to see the rocket go up. So if you just want to say you saw a rocket launch, a night launch is certainly visible. I don't know how well you'd see a day launch, but you'd certainly see the rocket booster, the light of the rocket booster going up during night at nights. One thing that has impressed me about Kennedy during COVID is they have done the best with supplying masks or being able to buy masks. When they first opened up, they had, for the day of the Launch America launch, they were selling masks outside, so you could go in there if you didn't have them, although most people had them already knowing that they needed them to attend the launch. But they have a nicer selection of anywhere that I've seen so far. We haven't yet seen what Disney's going to be selling, at least only what they have online. Universal has a very small selection, so they kind of capitalized on it and Kennedy, and I'm kind of impressed about that. And it's really cool because I have one mask that says NASA. If you saw the one I was wearing during the video today, I need my space, which is perfect for both COVID and for NASA. I picked up one kind of flawed mask when I was there. They had the "failure is not an option" slogan, which is in reference to Apollo 13, but they had the Apollo 11 logo on the mask. So somebody messed up there, but I think it's a cool collector's item. So that is it for looking at Kennedy for now. I'm sure I'll be back there. I know I'll be back there, but I'm sure I'll take you there another time. I hope you've been enjoying these videos so far. If you have, please like and subscribe. I'd like to kind of start doing this regularly. I mean, perhaps more than once a week. But right now, I think I'm off to a good start. And if you've been watching, thanks a lot, and I'll see you next week.